Oh, how my heart aches for those of you who are sitting in silence with tears hidden behind tired eyes. You have loved, you have given, you have sacrificed, and yet the very ones you have poured your soul into have turned their backs on you. Your child, once so small, with hands reaching out to you, now walks past you as if you were invisible. The respect is gone, the words are sharp, and you ask yourself, what have I done wrong? I want you to listen to me. This is not the end of the story. This is not the final word over your home. There is a way, a divine way, a way that is higher than the wisdom of man. And today, I am going to tell you exactly what to do when your child no longer respects you. You must listen closely, for this is not just about parenting. Oh no. This is about a battle that is not against flesh and blood. This is about reclaiming the spirit of your home, about taking back what the enemy has stolen, and about standing in the power of the living God to see transformation in your family. The first mistake parents make is thinking they can demand respect. But respect, my beloved, is not commanded, it is cultivated. You cannot force a hardened heart to honor you. No, it must be softened, it must be touched by something greater than rules and discipline. And what is that something greater? It is the power of God's love flowing through you. Listen to me. When your child disrespects you, you do not fight in the flesh, you fight in the spirit. Let me tell you something that will change your life. The greatest authority is the one who serves in love. You see, a parent who walks in divine authority does not need to scream, does not need to threaten, does not need to control. No. A parent walking in God's authority commands respect without ever raising their voice, because their presence is filled with the love and power of Jesus. So today I am telling you this. If your child has lost respect for you, do not fight back with anger. Do not try to force obedience. Go to the one who holds the hearts of kings in his hands. Get down on your knees, cry out to the Lord, cover your child in prayer, and when you rise, do not carry bitterness, carry love. Speak softly, walk in peace, and let the Holy Spirit convict where you cannot. Because, my beloved, you are not fighting against your child, you are fighting for your child. And when God steps in, oh, let me tell you, there is no rebellion strong enough to stand against his love. And that, my dear friend, is why you must hear this entire message. Because before this is over, you will know exactly how to walk in that authority. And you will see restoration in your home. The root of disrespect in children is often deeper than what the eyes can see. Many parents look at their children's behavior and wonder, where did I go wrong? They recall the days of innocence where their little one clung to them, eager for their love, hungry for their attention. But now, as the years have passed, something has changed. There is a distance, a coldness that was never there before. The once warm and loving words have turned into sharp replies, dismissive tones, and rolling eyes. The simple requests that were once met with eagerness are now ignored or challenged with defiance. The child who once admired them now seems indifferent, or worse, resentful. It is easy to believe that disrespect comes from nowhere, that it suddenly appears without cause, but that is not the truth. Disrespect in children is often a symptom of something much deeper, something that has been growing over time, whether visible or hidden. Some children act out because they feel unheard, others because they are carrying silent wounds. Wounds that may have nothing to do with their parents but are projected onto them because they are the closest, safest targets. Some children are struggling with identity, seeking to assert themselves in a world that constantly tells them who they should be. Others are simply mirroring what they have seen and absorbed from their environment, influenced by the voices around them, whether it be peers, media, or society at large. For some parents, the pain of their child's disrespect feels like betrayal. They have sacrificed, they have provided, they have given their very best, so how could their child treat them this way? The pain is real, the heartbreak is real, and the frustration can quickly turn into anger, leading to harsh words, stricter rules, and in some cases emotional distance, as a way to protect oneself from further hurt. But hear me when I say this, disrespect is not just an issue of discipline, it is an issue of the heart, and a hardened heart cannot be softened by force. Many parents fall into the trap of believing that if they only demand more respect, if they punish more severely, if they control their child's every move, then the respect will return. But respect does not come from control. It does not come from fear. It does not even come from obligation. True respect is birthed from love, from relationship, from an unshakable bond that speaks louder than any rule or punishment ever could. Children may obey out of fear, but they will not truly respect until they have experienced the kind of love that commands honor, not through force, but through the undeniable presence of something greater. A child who does not respect their parent is often a child whose heart has become disconnected. This disconnection may not have happened overnight, and it certainly will not be restored in an instant. But the path back to honor and respect is not found in yelling, not found in demanding, not found in punishment alone. It is found in the restoration of relationship. It is found in understanding. It is found in a love that is patient, a love that does not keep a record of wrongs, a love that says, I see beyond your words, beyond your attitude, beyond your rebellion. I see your heart and I am not giving up on you. For many parents, this is difficult. They have tried, they have poured out love, but their child has rejected it. They have reached out, but their child has turned away, and so they grow weary. They begin to believe that perhaps nothing will change, that perhaps their child is simply lost to the world. But let me tell you something. No heart is too far gone for God. No situation is beyond redemption. The enemy would love to convince you that your child is beyond reach, that their disrespect is a permanent condition, that nothing you do will make a difference. But that is a lie. There is a way to reclaim what has been lost. It begins not with force, but with prayer, not with control, but with surrender, not with demanding, but with demonstrating the very love and respect you long to receive. A child who has lost their way does not need a harsh hand as much as they need a steady, loving presence. They need to know that no matter how far they push, no matter how cold they become, they are still seen, still valued, still deeply loved. When a child disrespects a parent, it is easy to react in the flesh, to meet their attitude with attitude, to respond to their distance with anger. But what if, instead, you responded with patience? What if, instead of fighting back, you fought for their heart? What if, instead of demanding, you led by example? There is power in restraint. There is power in kindness. And most of all, there is power in the unseen. Power in the prayers you pray behind closed doors. Power in the love you give even when it is not returned. Power in the gentle firmness of a parent who refuses to be moved by temporary rebellion. Because, my beloved, that is what disrespect often is. Temporary. It may last for a season, but it does not have to be the final word. Children grow, hearts change, and when the foundation of love is unshaken, when respect is not demanded but modeled, when the presence of God fills a home, even the hardest heart can be turned back. Do not be discouraged by what you see today, for the child who turns their back on you now may one day return with honor. Keep standing, keep praying, and most of all, keep loving, because love, true, unwavering, God-given love, always has the final word. The power of unseen influence is something many parents underestimate. They believe that in order to make an impact on their children's lives, they must always be speaking, always correcting, always directing. But influence is not just about what is said. It is about what is lived. A child may ignore your words. They may reject your instructions. They may even push back against your authority. But they are always watching. Even in the moments when it seems like they are not paying attention, they are absorbing more than you realize. Many parents feel discouraged because they believe their children are no longer listening to them. They give advice, only to be met with eye rolls. They offer guidance, only to be ignored. And after a while, they begin to think that nothing they say matters. But influence does not come from words alone. It comes from the silent, consistent example of a life that is lived with integrity. A child may shut their ears to instruction, but they cannot shut their heart to the power of an example that speaks louder than words ever could. Think about this. A child who grows up in a home where kindness is practiced will learn kindness, even if they rebel against it for a time. A child who sees patience modeled will learn patience, even if they resist it in their youth. A child who witnesses genuine faith, faith that is not just spoken but lived, will carry that faith with them, even if they walk away from it for a season. The things that are consistently demonstrated in the home become embedded in a child's heart, even when it seems like they are rejecting them. There are parents who've prayed for years, believing that their words have fallen on deaf ears, believing that their efforts have been wasted. But then Years later, they see the evidence of that unseen influence. They see their once rebellious child choosing to live out the very principles they once rejected. They see their grown son or daughter facing struggles with the same strength and faith they once witnessed in their parents. They see that the seeds they planted in the silence, in the unseen places, were taking root all along. This is why it is so crucial to never give up, to never stop setting the example, even when it seems like no one is listening. Because even when it appears that your child is ignoring you, they are still watching you. They are watching how you handle stress. They are watching how you treat others. They are watching how you respond to disappointment. They are watching whether your faith is something real or just something you speak about on Sundays. And in time, they will reflect what they have seen far more than what they have been told. There is a dangerous mistake that many parents make when they feel their children are not listening. They give up on setting the example. They grow weary. They stop showing patience because they feel it is not appreciated. They stop offering love because it has not been reciprocated. They stop demonstrating faith because they feel like their prayers are going unanswered. But influence is not about immediate results. Influence is about consistency, about perseverance, about continuing to plant seeds even when there is no visible growth. Think of a seed planted deep in the soil. For days, for weeks, even for months, there is no sign of life. The ground looks the same, unchanged. And yet, beneath the surface, something is happening. The seed is breaking open, roots are beginning to stretch downward, life is forming when no one can see. Then suddenly, one day, the first small sprout pushes through the soil. What was unseen becomes visible. What seemed like a waste of time was actually working all along. This is how influence works. The silent moments, the unseen acts of love, the quiet consistency, they are forming something beneath the surface. And in time, that influence will break through and you will see the fruit of what you have planted. But you must not grow weary in doing good. You must not give up because the results are not immediate. Because one day, the child who seemed not to care will remember the lessons you lived before them. One day they will recall the kindness you showed even when they were unkind. One day they will understand the patience you demonstrated when they tested your limits. This is why it is so important to walk in love, to live in faith, to model integrity, not because of what you see today, but because of what will come in the future. Do not be deceived by the silence. Do not be discouraged by the rejection. Influence is not measured in immediate responses. It is measured in the impact that is revealed over time. Keep planting, keep demonstrating, keep living out the truth. Because even when you do not see it, your child is being shaped by the unseen influence of your life. Breaking the cycle of struggle in a parent-child relationship, especially when respect has been lost, is not an easy task. It is not something that happens overnight, nor is it something that can be forced through sheer willpower. Many parents find themselves trapped in a pattern where disrespect leads to frustration. Frustration leads to harsh reactions. And harsh reactions lead to even greater disconnection. It becomes a vicious cycle where both the parent and the child feel unheard, misunderstood, and emotionally drained. The more a parent demands respect, the more the child resists. The more the child resists, the more the parent reacts in ways that only push them further away. It is heartbreaking to watch a relationship unravel in this way. Parents who once held their child in their arms, who once wiped away their tears and comforted them in their fears, now find themselves feeling like strangers in their own homes. The warmth that once existed between them has been replaced with coldness. Conversations that once flowed freely are now filled with tension. What once was a relationship built on love now feels like a battle. And the question that echoes in a parent's mind is, how did we get here? And more importantly, how do we find our way back? The first and most important step in breaking this cycle is recognizing that fighting back in frustration will never bring true change. It may seem like the natural response. After all, when someone disrespects you, the instinct is to correct them, to discipline them, to make them understand that their behavior is wrong. But when a child is already in a place of defiance, when their heart has already been hardened, responding with anger or harshness only reinforces their resistance. It does not teach them respect. It teaches them fear, resentment, or emotional withdrawal. Instead of reacting in frustration, a parent must learn to respond with wisdom. And wisdom does not mean allowing disrespect to continue unchecked. It means approaching the situation with a different mindset. It means choosing to pause before responding, choosing to look beyond the immediate behavior and seek to understand what is truly happening in the heart of the child. Disrespect is often a symptom, not the root cause. It is an outward expression of an inward struggle. It may be coming from a place of deep frustration, insecurity, or even pain, and until the root is addressed, the behavior will continue. One of the most powerful ways to break this cycle is through the practice of grace. Grace does not mean excusing bad behavior or ignoring disrespect. It means responding in a way that diffuses conflict instead of escalating it. It means choosing patience when anger would be easier. It means speaking calmly when yelling feels justified. It means showing love even when it is not being reciprocated. When a parent chooses grace over frustration, they create an atmosphere where healing can begin. They show their child that love is not conditional on perfect behavior, that their relationship is not dependent on whether or not they always see eye to eye. Another key element in breaking the cycle is learning to truly listen. Many children who become disrespectful do so because they feel unheard. They feel that their opinions, their struggles, and their emotions are dismissed or minimized. When a child feels unheard, they often resort to louder, harsher ways of expressing themselves. They act out, they push boundaries, they seek attention in negative ways because they believe they will not receive it in positive ways. But when a parent takes the time to truly listen, not just to respond, not just to correct, but to understand, they send a powerful message. You matter, your feelings matter, your voice matters. This does not mean that a parent must agree with everything their child says or does, but it does mean that they must acknowledge their child's perspective, even when it differs from their own. They must show their child that they are willing to engage in real conversations, that their love is not dependent on agreement but on relationship. When a child feels heard, their need to demand attention through negative behavior lessens. Breaking the cycle of struggle also requires consistency. A parent cannot expect immediate results. They cannot extend grace one day and react in frustration the next. They cannot listen one moment and dismiss their child the next. Children notice inconsistency, and when they see inconsistency, they interpret it as a lack of sincerity. But when a parent consistently models patience, kindness, and wisdom, even in difficult moments, their child begins to trust that their love is real. Prayer also plays a crucial role in breaking this cycle. No parent can do this alone. No amount of human effort, discipline, or strategy can truly transform a heart the way God can. When a parent commits to praying for their child, to interceding for their heart, to asking God for wisdom in every situation, they invite divine intervention into their home. They are no longer fighting the battle alone. Over time, as a parent chooses wisdom over reaction, grace over frustration, and consistency over inconsistency, the atmosphere begins to shift. The walls of defiance begin to weaken. The relationship that once felt broken begins to mend. And respect, the kind of respect that is not demanded but freely given, starts to grow again. It is a process. It takes time. But it is possible, and when that cycle of struggle is finally broken, both the parent and the child find their way back to something far greater than control or obedience. They find their way back to love. Restoring a broken relationship with your child is not about demanding respect or enforcing authority with an iron hand. It is about rebuilding trust, reconnecting the heart, and creating an environment where love, honor, and understanding can flourish once again. Many parents make the mistake of thinking that if they simply impose stricter rules or enforce harsher consequences, their child will suddenly change and begin to show respect. But respect is not something that can be forced. It is something that is nurtured. It is something that grows when the foundation of love and trust is restored. For many parents, the pain of a broken relationship with their child is unbearable. They long for the days when their child looked up to them with admiration, when their presence brought comfort instead of conflict. They remember the little hands that once reached for them in trust, the eager conversations that once flowed without hesitation. But now, things are different. Now their child is distant, cold, or even openly defiant. The words they speak seem to fall on deaf ears, and every interaction feels like a battle. It is easy to respond to this kind of pain with frustration. It is easy to throw up one's hands in defeat or to react with anger. But anger will never heal a broken relationship. Harsh words will never soften a hardened heart. If a parent truly wants to restore their connection with their child, they must first be willing to take a different approach. An approach that begins with humility, patience, and love. One of the most important steps in restoration is self-reflection. Many parents focus only on what their child is doing wrong without taking the time to examine their own role in the situation. This is not to say that the parent is always at fault, but healing begins when both sides are willing to acknowledge their part in the brokenness. Have there been moments where frustration overtook patience? Have there been words spoken in anger that wounded more than they corrected? Have there been times when the child's feelings were dismissed or their struggles overlooked? A parent who is willing to honestly assess their own actions and, if necessary, apologize for their own mistakes, sets the stage for true healing to begin. Apologizing does not mean surrendering authority. It does not mean allowing disrespect to continue unchecked. What it does mean is that the parent is willing to lead by example. A child who sees a parent take responsibility for their own actions learns the power of humility and grace. They see that respect is not just something that is demanded of them, but something that is lived out in everyday interactions. They begin to understand that relationships are not about control, but about mutual honor, love, and understanding. Another key step in restoring the relationship is creating an environment where open and honest communication can take place. Many children do not express their true feelings because they do not feel safe enough to do so. They fear that if they share their emotions, their struggles, or their frustrations, they will be met with criticism, rejection, or punishment. But healing cannot happen in an atmosphere of fear. A child needs to know that their voice matters, that their thoughts and emotions are valued. This does not mean that a parent must agree with everything their child says or allow disrespectful behavior to continue, but it does mean that they must be willing to listen. Truly listen. They must create space for their child to share what is on their heart without immediately responding with correction or judgment. They must ask questions not as a means of interrogation, but as a way of understanding. When a child feels heard, they become more willing to engage in meaningful conversations. And meaningful conversations are the foundation upon which broken relationships are rebuilt. Patience is also a critical factor in restoration. Many parents expect immediate results. They believe that if they make a change, their child should immediately respond with warmth and respect. But restoration takes time. Trust is not rebuilt overnight. A child who has been distant or defiant will not suddenly become affectionate and obedient after one heartfelt conversation. But just because change is not immediate does not mean that it is not happening. Every small step toward healing is a victory. Every kind word spoken instead of a harsh one. Every moment of understanding instead of conflict. Every gesture of love instead of frustration. It all adds up. A parent who is committed to restoring their relationship with their child must also be willing to let go of the need for control. Control does not build respect, it builds resistance. When a child feels that they have no voice, that they are merely being managed rather than truly loved, they will rebel against that control, in whatever way they can. But when they feel that they are seen, known, and valued as an individual, their heart begins to soften. Respect is born out of love, not out of force. Above all, the most powerful tool in restoring a relationship is love. Love that is patient. Love that does not keep a record of wrongs. Love that does not withdraw when it is not immediately returned. Love that continues to reach out even when it is met with resistance. Love that refuses to give up. Because no matter how far a child has strayed, no matter how deep the wounds may be, love has the power to heal. It has the power to break down walls. It has the power to restore what was lost. And so, to the parent who feels like they have lost their child, to the one who feels like the distance is too great to bridge, do not lose hope. Do not let discouragement convince you that the relationship is beyond repair. Keep reaching out, keep listening, keep loving, because the seeds you plant in love today will one day bear fruit. The child who seems distant now may one day come running back. And when they do, they will remember not just the rules you set, not just the discipline you enforced, but the unwavering love that never gave up on them.